what do you see? What is your experience like being a woman that's running her business in the world of comics? How you received, and what advice would you give to some young lady coming behind you wanting to do the same thing?
So you got to have thick skin because people will always feel like it's easier to attack a woman than a man. And that's just reality. It's society. It happens in comics too.
Hmm.
For a long time, it was a boys' game.
Hmm.
Um, I was really one of the first real high end comic book dealers. There's high end comic book collectors that are females, but there's really not many female dealers, and there's certainly not many doing it at the level that I am. And for me, I just kind of have this sorry not sorry attitude. I'm really good at what I do. I try really hard to always be kind and respect everyone that I deal with. um but like, why keep out a group of collectors that will also spend the same money and help the market by buying and selling just because they're a female? It's silly.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
And for new women that want to be dealers and want to level themselves up, go for it. Get ready to have thick skin and take your seat. It's not just going to be offered to you, you have to take it.
I like that term. Take your seat. I like that. I like that a lot. So let's talk a little bit now about what is in your PC.
My PC is pretty freaking dope.
I bet it is.
um, I have an Action Comics 1, Origin and First Superman.
Oh wow. Okay.
I have, and really, I mean, I think that that comic book is the most important comic book in history.
It
It's
really
our
is.
first superhero in comic books.
True.
And honestly, I would say that of the golden age, it's Action 1, and of the silver age, like the 1960s, it's Amazing Fantasy 15 because it's first Spider-Man. And look what Spider-Man has done for Marvel
Hmm.
and comic book collecting as a whole. Um, I've got this. Can you see it back there? I've got a Journey into Mystery
Oh
83
yeah, I
first
can see that.
Thor.
Yeah.
I've got a
Hmm.
Detective 27 first Batman and Origin of Batman.
Oh
I've got a
wow.
Marvel one first
You
ever
you're
Marvel
naming
comics.
you're naming stuff that's just huge in the world of comics, and
Yeah,
how stories are told, and what led to all these movies that we have now.
yeah.
Wow. Hmm. That's a beautiful question. I knew when I asked that question. I don't think I'm sleeping over here. So I
My
knew when
favorite
I
is
asked
my
that.
top one.
Yeah, I knew when I asked that question what you were about to come back with some gems. I knew this. So what do you see? What do you see? Let's forecast out a little bit. 6, 12, 18 months. What do you see the comic book market going as we
Hmm.
go forward? And then how much do you think the movies and TV shows, She-Hulk just started, how much do you think these movies and TV shows impact the market overall?
So I think right now we're in a really weird spot in collectibles in general. Um, Cryptos really kind of beat people up. The stock
Mhm.
market's kind of weird. We've got all this crazy inflation going on.
Yeah.
And I think people are sometimes afraid to spend big money. And so I think it's going to be really hard to predict what happens in 6, 12, 18 months from now, because what's going to happen in the economy if we study the crazy inflation that's going on right now? Well, people are going to have more money to spend. They're
True.
not going to have to decide. It was like when COVID started and people were worried about COVID, right? Do I
Mhm.
go on vacation? Do I buy the comic book? Do I put money away and save it? Like, what do I do?
That's
And I think that that's a really hard question to answer right now. Normally, I would say comic books when we're not in this crazy bubble, because everything went too expensive, right? It happened in cards, it happened in games, it happened in comics.
Mhm.
There needed to be a settling.
Yes.
Stuff could not keep going on the trajectory it was. Like,
Yes.
stuff needed to settle across the board. And so I think we're seeing a settling right now. I think we're seeing new floors. I don't think that we're going to have a huge like crash like we did. And really, comics didn't even do what other collectibles did back in 07, 08, 09. They
Mhm.
kind of dipped some, but they've always been kind of consistent because people love these characters. Movies don't have as much impact as they used to. And I think it's because Marvel is churning out too much too fast and Disney is churning out too much too fast. And they're not saving any surprises anymore. Like in Hall H this year, I've never seen a Hall H be so kind of mediocre. Nobody was even talking about the Black Panther 2 trailer. It gave me goosebumps.
Yeah,
I watched
yeah.
it three
Happy birthday.
times.
Yeah,
I had tears in my eyes. I
yeah.
had goosebumps, and nobody was talking about it.
It's
And
interesting.
so and so I think that and we usually see a little bit of a bump when a trailer like that hits, right? Like it's Black Panther 2, they're coming back, it's going to be really good. We're getting Submariner. I think it's going to be probably one of the best Marvel movies we've seen in a while.
Yeah,
I mean, it looks insane and I think it's going to be super emotional.
I think so.
Um
11/11.
but oh,
It's gonna be. We only got a few more days here, really. Ooh, it's gonna
so
be.
excited.
So Brendan says he tells me to sell my curries to buy a Groot the Wanderer.
Don't do that. Sell your curries to buy an Amazing Fantasy 15.
Yeah, it's all connected. 6 months from now, question marks. 5 years from now, quality will always be higher. That's the same philosophy I have in cards, and I think too. This is just me
Buy the
talking.
dip.
You just took the words out of my mouth. To me, if you're buying, and we're not just buying, have a strategy. If you're buying things that are very rare and
Yep.
hard to find, and you don't see them again, and it's the same with cars as it is with comics. If you're spending money on that, if you're going through the things that Nerdy Girl is talking about, as far as making sure bills are paid, making sure things are taken care of, if you're doing all that, and you still are able to do this, I think 5 years from now, quality will always be high.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
believe.
I don't just look what Action One has done.
Mm-hmm.
Look at what I mean. AF-15 got really expensive, and we're seeing a bit of a correction right now. But it got too expensive. In 5 years, if you're buying it at this price, are you going to be happy? Shit, yeah. It's Spider-Man. He's one of the most relevant superheroes of all time.